What is that abomination that will result in total desolation? Stay tuned, you will find out. Let us pray. Gracious Father in heaven, we thank you for the precious gift of life. We thank you for Jesus, the sinner's friend. We thank you for thy word that has been preserved for us for our understanding and application. Lead us, Lord, into the study of thy word, so that the words of our mouth and the meditations of our hearts will be acceptable before thee, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. The abomination of desolation. I'm reading from the book of Psalms. Psalms 73, verse 13. And the psalmist says, Thy way, O God, is in the sanctuary. Who is so great a God as our God? It is made here abundantly clear that God's way is in the sanctuary. Everything pertaining to our salvation, our restoration, our redemption is in the sanctuary. Victory and overcoming power over sin, over our carnal nature is in the sanctuary. Our only hope is in the sanctuary. Exodus 25 verse 8. And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them. But that was in time past. I believe today, God wants to dwell in us. Let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell in them. And Psalm 20 verse 2 says, Send thee help from the sanctuary. The psalmist knew very well that help is in the sanctuary. So when he found himself in despair, when he found himself in trouble, he cried unto the Lord to send help, but send help from the sanctuary. Our help coming from the Lord. Our help is in the sanctuary. Help with sin. Psalm 96 verse 6. Strength and beauty are in the sanctuary. Oh, these are beautiful words. Strength and beauty are in the sanctuary. What the Bible says, the time will come when God will make a man. He will recreate man and have a man like the golden wedge of Ophir. Beauty and strength are in the sanctuary. When the final atonement is complete, when the work of mercy and the ministry of grace is complete, our high priest is finished, he will recreate a man more precious than gold, than the golden wedge of Ophir. Strength and beauty are in the sanctuary. Our study today, victory in the sanctuary, the abomination that causes desolation. ENSIGNS. I'm reading from Psalm 74 verse 4. Thine enemies roar in the midst of thy congregations. They set up the ensigns for signs. Now note, it is God's enemies who set up signs, ensigns for signs. And they do it in the midst of thy congregation. Very important. Thine enemies roar. Now they don't speak, they don't whisper, but they roar. I have had the experience of visiting a zoo, and to hear a lion roar, this is thunderous. This roar would echo, and you would shake the place exactly where you stand. I'm reading from Daniel 12 verse 11. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Now we will not concern ourselves in this study with the latter part of this text. There shall be 1,290 days as far as calculating time is concerned. But the first part of the text, and from the time that the daily, the Bible says, the daily sacrifice, but the word sacrifice is italicized, so that means it was not in the original. From the time that the daily shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up. So here Daniel is telling us that something good will be taken away, and something else will be placed in its place to replace it. And from the time that the daily shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up. So whatever will be set up will make desolate, cause total desolation. And that's our study today. The abomination that will cause desolation. I'm reading from Daniel 8, 9 to 12. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great towards the south, and towards the east, and towards the pleasant land. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. And it cast the truth to the ground, and practiced and prospered. So here we have greater insights. Now the Bible is revealing to us, making us understand very clearly what power will initiate or cause that great abomination which will result in desolation. The Bible says, and out of one of them came forth a little horn. And as Bible students, we know very well this refers to the work of the papacy. So I went to the dictionary to find out the meaning of the word ensigns. And I used the American Century Dictionary. And here's what it says. A banner or a flag. Ensigns, a banner or a flag. Abomination that will take place will result in the casting down of the truth to the ground, what is good, and placing in its place something that is abominable, a banner or a flag. The idolatrous standards. I'm reading from the book The Great Controversy, page 40 by Sister White. She says, when the adulterous standards of the Romans should be set up in the holy ground, which extended some furlongs outside the city walls, then the followers of Christ were to find safety in flight. Wow. So this was the sign for the early believers. When that adulterous standard, that ensign was set up on the holy ground among God's people, then the believers were to find safety in flight. That denotes swiftness. That denotes a sense of urgency. When that ensign is set up, that flag or that banner, which is idolatrous, idol worship, when it is set up among God's people, then the believers were to find safety in flight. I grew up in the Seventh Adventist Church, and this was the traditional Adventist logo. That's what we were quite familiar with. 3 angels flying in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel, and it was depicted as a scroll in their hand or a trumpet. And looking at this picture, or this image, you get a clear understanding that there's a message that's going to be given, but it's also with a sense of urgency because the angels are seen flying, and they are also seen as if to say on a serious mission. Sometimes we also saw this, the traditional Adventist logo, 3 angels with a trumpet. So either 3 angels in the midst of heaven flying with a scroll in their hand denoting the 3 angels' messages, or also a trumpet. New Adventist logo, an ensign. I want to suggest to you that this logo here has nothing to do with Seventh-day Adventism as far as its calling, as far as its mission, as far as its work is concerned. This logo has nothing to do with Adventism. I'm reading from Early Writings, page 211, paragraph 3. Early Writings 211, paragraph 3. It was presented before me in the following manner. A large company of heathen idolaters bore a black banner, upon which were figures of the sun, moon, and stars. This company seemed to be very fierce and angry. I was then shown another company bearing a pure white banner, upon which was written, Purity and holiness unto the Lord. Their countenances were marked with firmness and heavenly resignation. I saw the hidden idolaters approach them, and there was a great slaughter. The Christians melted away before them, and yet the Christian company pressed them more closely together and held the banner more firmly. As many fell, others rallied around the banner and fill their places. This reminds me of Ezekiel chapter 9 as far as the slaughter is concerned. So here we have this new logo that was introduced. Looking at this logo, you can hardly tell what is going on. Such subliminal messages, a cross upside down, a Bible, wavy lines, a sphere or a globe. This has nothing to do with the three angels' messages. This has nothing to do with the investigative judgment. This has nothing to do with the sanctuary message, the final atonement, the close of probation. I wonder if it is possible that we are worshiping the enemy in symbolism without even knowing. The Bible says in Revelation 16 verse 13,
"And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet."
Very good. 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophets. The dragon, the Bible says, is Satan, that old serpent, Satan. Spiritualism. I don't know if you recall my previous video on digital spiritualism. The Bible says, out of the mouth came the beast, the papacy, Roman Catholicism, and the false prophet, apostate Protestantism. Look at this. Product line, spiritualism. This is the product. Pantene. Go to your grocery store. Go and do your groceries. Go to a place like Walmart and go like Kroger. And I believe this is a shampoo or some hair product. You see the same design of our logo. 3 wavy lines on this product. Now I ask you a question. This merchant, you think this merchant is preaching and teaching the 3 angels' messages? Particularly the first angel's message, fear God and give glory to him for the hour of his judgment is come? I doubt it. Very much. Why is it then that our logo looks so much like the logo on this product, the same 3 wavy line, the same type of design and configuration? The financial market, secret society, advanced financial. Now these people, I know them very well. They offer small loans, maybe title loans, and look at their logo. Same 3 wavy lines. And today you see the new logo everywhere. When I was growing up as a child in the church, we only saw the official logo on official documents. It was not everywhere, but today it is everywhere like junk mail. It's on the podium. It's on the quarterly. It's on the church mat. It's on the bag. It's on the tithe bag. It's on your shirt. It's everywhere like junk mail. Pentecostal Holiness Church. Apostasy. Look at the Pentecostal Holiness Church. Look at the symbol also. Look at the logo. Very same thing the Bible. Very same thing the sphere or the world in the background. Very same thing the cross and the flames. I ask you the question. Is the Pentecostal Holiness Church preaching and teaching the final atonement, the investigative judgment, the 3 angels' messages, Sabbath reform? I doubt it. Why is it then that our logo looks so much like this as far as the message is concerned, as far as the design is concerned? Why is it? Trash mail, junk mail. United Methodists. Now mind you, you don't have to have all 3. Maybe 2 of the symbols, but 2 is sufficient. The United Methodist Church, look at the symbol. The cross, akin to Catholicism, Sister White says that. They use the cross everywhere, they have it everywhere. And also the wavy lines, fire. But remember the video, Digital Spiritualism. If you have not watched it, I appeal to you to look at it. Digital Spiritualism, that flame, that fire. Spiritualism in the last days moving at lightning speed. But it has taken on a new form, digital, electronic spiritualism. Why is it that the Adventist logo looks so much like the United Methodist Church logo, but Pentecostal logo? Why is it looks so much alike with the products out there? The gay club. Being gay is a gift from God. That's what some people believe. It's a gift from God. Look at the symbol again. Look at the logo again. The same wavy lines, the cross again. Why is the Adventist logo so closely related to that of the Gay Club, that of the Pentecost, that of the Methodists, and that of the Merchants of the World? The Bible says they are all together in the cage of unclean and hateful birds. So now we have looked at finance. We have looked at religion. Now we look at education. Georgia State University, the very same design in their logo. The three wavy lines. The sphere. You can see it's faded in the background, but it's right there. So therefore we have it in the financial world. We have it in business, manufacturing. We have it in education. We have it in religion. Why is the Seventh-day Adventist Church's logo so much alike that of the other churches, that of the Merchants of the World, that of those in education? Why is it? Is Georgia State University teaching and preaching and publishing the three angels' messages? Sabbath reform? The final atonement? The sanctuary message? I doubt it. Muslims. Muslim Public Affairs Council. Look at the design again of their logo. The stars and the three wavy lines also. Finance Sector Union, that's Australia, FSU, Finance Sector Union. Look at the design of the logo again. Three wavy lines. Look at the design, look at the configuration, the way it's configured. Look at the message it transmits. Faith and Freedom, the Faith and Freedom Coalition. Now this one is so clear, this one is so perfect. Bring to mind again our logo, the Seventh-day Adventist logo. Bring to mind what it looks like. Look at this one. Very same design. Very same configuration. Faith and Freedom. Is the Faith and Freedom Coalition teaching and preaching and publishing the three angels' message, particularly the third angel's message, the first angel's message, the sanctuary message, the investigative judgment, Sabbath reform? I doubt it. Pope John Paul. Now this is taken from their own website, Word of Fire. Word of Fire on the Catholic website. Look at the design. Look at the logo. Three wavy lines representing spiritualism. I wonder if it is possible that we are worshipping the devil himself, idol worship, not knowing. And Laodicea C, the earth will not continue to offer its harvest except with faithful stewardship. We cannot say we love the land and then take steps to destroy it for use by future generations. To destroy it for use by future generations. That's Pope, they call him Saint John Paul II. But look at the design. Look at the logo of the Catholic Church. Word of Fire. Very same design with the Seventh-day Adventist Church logo. I wonder if the Catholic Church is preaching and teaching the three angels' messages. A call for Sabbath reform, the investigative judgment, the close of probation, the final atonement, victory and overcoming power over sin. I doubt it very much. Why is it then that the Seventh-day Adventist Church's logo looks so much like that of the Catholic as far as the Word of Fire website is concerned? Again, Word on Fire Catholic Ministries, Word on Fire, the doors are now wide open. Check it out for yourself. Go onto the website, Word of Fire, very same design. Is it possible that we might be worshipping an idol, thinking that we are doing God's service? This new logo is everywhere. You know, I have learned that if you want to keep something away from people, put it close to their eyes. So the more they look, the less they see. So that is why this logo is everywhere. It is so close to them that they don't see. You get so accustomed to it, you get so used to it. But if they are just placed in one or two places, that would create a little suspicion. That would incite a little investigation. But now that you have it everywhere like junk mail, people don't notice it. If you want to keep something away from people, put it very close to their eyes. So the more they look, they don't see. National Council of Churches. Look at the logo, the cross and the wavy lines. Remember I said you don't have to have three. And maybe in that logo you have three wavy lines also, because there's a white background there also. You know? Okay, subliminal messages. National Council of Churches in the US. But I know its origin. I know where it came from. WCC, World Council of Churches, the Fifth and Other Commission, Vatican Council II. After Vatican Council II, it was decided that we must reclaim the fallen churches. Decisions were laid, plans were laid to reclaim the fallen separated churches of brethren. So out of Vatican Council II came the decision to work with the fallen churches. So they were invited to discussions and meetings and studies. All of the major religions, they have been meeting with the Vatican through the Fifth and Other Commission. That's the intellectual leg of the Vatican, the Fifth and Other Commission, WCC. Meeting and trying to iron out, trying to find common ground on doctrine. So these discussions took place over a long period of time, for years. And our beloved church was also part of that meeting. Her name is mentioned in this book. This is the book. So this is a document that was published when the meetings ended, because we have all agreed. And we have agreed upon three tenets of faith: baptism, Eucharist, and ministry. Three major tenets of faith that we have all agreed upon, and we have signed it in the book: baptism, Eucharist, and ministry. And therefore, these three wavy lines represent, symbolize our agreement to these three tenets of faith. Now let me explain. Baptism. In this book, and I have this book in my library, in this book what it is saying is, we accept every and any form of baptism. It is good. God accepts it too. And we have signed to it. Eucharist. What this book is saying is, the Eucharist, you can call it whatever name you want. You can call it the Holy Communion, you can call it the Lord's Supper, you can call it the Eucharist. It's okay, God accepts it, it's okay, one and the same. Ministry. What this is saying here in this document is, we have to practice interfaith relationships. We have to exchange pulpits. So Catholics can grace our pulpits, and the Baptists can grace the Catholic pulpits, and we can grace their pulpits also. We have to work together for the common good. Baptism, Eucharist, and ministry. Three major tenets of faith that were agreed upon and published, and it is now symbolized in these three wavy lines. And these three wavy lines only came out, only appeared in our church at a certain point in time, around 1980 thereabout. I'm reading from the book. Faith and Order Commission, 1982, baptism, Eucharist, and ministry. Talking about the Eucharist, here is the statement from the book. It has acquired many names. For example, the Lord's Supper, the breaking of bread, the Holy Communion, the Divine Liturgy, the Mass. So it has acquired many names. You can call it the Eucharist. You can call it the Lord's Supper. You can call it the Holy Communion. It does not matter. It's one and the same. We can all celebrate it together. But this is the visible sign of unity with Rome. So this is the origin. This was the mandate that was given. This is where this came from, as far as the dialogues and the conversations that we held with the major religions of this world, with the Vatican being the head, through its Faith and Order Commission. And we agreed and we signed on that document, expressing our determination to work together and let there be unity in that great diversity. The visible sign of unity with Rome. I'm reading from Numbers 25, 1-3. Numbers chapter 25, verses 1-3. And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. Not with the daughters of Moab. Does Rome have daughters? Daughter churches? She's the mother of harlots? So Israel began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto their sacrifices of their gods. And the people did eat and bow down to their gods. Interesting. They called them to the sacrifice of their gods. Idol worship. And the people did eat and bow down to their gods. We talk a lot about the mark of the beast. But it may be strange to know it has a lot to do with Sunday sacredness and also with the eating and the drinking. And Israel joined herself unto Baal-peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. Why was the anger of the Lord kindled against Israel? Because she committed whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And in that mix, she found herself doing sacrifice to their gods, and they ate, and they drank, and they bowed to their gods. This is exactly what is going on today among us as God's people in this 11th hour. I'm reading from Exodus 32, verse 1, verse 6, and 17 to 20. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. And they rose up early on the morrow, and offered burnt offerings, and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink, and rose up to play. The abomination that will cause desolation. I want to suggest to you that we have a hype over the Sunday law, which is a law. It has a lot to do with the action that will be taken under that law. It has a lot to do with the eating and the drinking and the Baal worship and the idol worshiping. I'm reading from Exodus 32, 17 and 18. The visible sign of unity with Rome. The Eucharist, Holy Communion, the Lord's Supper. Visible sign of unity with Rome. Exodus 32, 17 and 18. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moses, There is a noise of war in the camp. Notice Moses. And he said, It is not the noise of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. Oh, this is the flavor these days in our churches, the popular churches, nominal churches. A lot of shouting, a lot of screaming, dancing, loud music. Moses said, This is not the noise of war that I'm hearing, but it is the cry, the noise of them that sing do I hear. Exodus 32, 19 and 20. And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing. And Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the tables of his hands out of his hands and brake them beneath the mount. He cast them and he brake them. It was apostasy. It was abomination that resulted in Moses breaking the commandments. What did we read about in the book of Daniel? He will cast the truth to the ground. It is apostasy. It is abomination that will cause the truth to be broken and cast down to the ground. And he took the calf, which they had made, and burnt it in fire, and ground it to powder, and strewed it upon the water, and made the children of Israel drink it. Now that is very significant. He made them drink it. Communion service, the Eucharist, the wine, he made them drink it. As far as that idol worship will lead to that drinking in rebellion against God. He broke the commandments because it was apostasy, it was abomination. The enemy of truth cast the truth to the ground, and now he has us eating and drinking and playing together. But it was the children of Israel who joined themselves with the children of Moab, the daughters of Moab. I want to suggest to you that the eating and the drinking have a lot to do with the mark of the beast as far as the Sunday law is concerned. And here it is illustrated in the scriptures. The abomination, the idol worship, the eating and the drinking that is being set up among and practiced among God's people. Sister White, I'm reading from 5T 137. Testimonies, volume 5, page 137. We have wandered away from the old landmarks. Let us return. If the Lord be God, serve him. If Baal, serve him. Which side will you be on? That's the question she asked. In this late hour, in this 11th hour, on which side will you be found? The seal of God, or to receive the mark of the beast? A symbol, a banner that displays very clearly our peculiar message, or one that is like junk mail that everybody uses, everybody have, dedicated to their worship and to their idol God, to lead to the mark of the beast and of course that total desolation. But it was in eating and drinking when Moses witnessed what was going on, eating, drinking, dancing, bowing down and worshiping and sacrificing, he broke the commandments. Look at the origin of these three wavy lines. I'm reading from the book, The Two Babylons. Look at the origin. The three wavy lines. That just over the years, they've taken on different shapes and different forms, but the very basic structure and message and meaning is still there. And from the book, The Two Babylons. The staff of Adad, possibly representing stylized bolts of lightning. Stylized bolts of lightning, so that the flames. You remember digital spiritualism? Remember that train moving at lightning speed? That's what the Two Babylons is saying. Possibly representing stylized bolts of lightning. This symbol was associated with Adad, the Babylonian storm god. So having this symbol before us is an act of our worship and adoration and praise to this God. And the Bible says the devil gave her her seat and her power and great authority. And she has called all the daughters together in conversation and dialogue. And they have all agreed upon certain tenets of faith. And they have published a book with a symbol on the front cover representing the three major points of agreement among us, doctrinal points of agreement among us. And therefore we have changed our logo to be in accord, to be in compliance, to be in agreement. The pagan origin of this three wavy line, this logo, representing stylized bolts of lightning. If you have not yet listened to my video on YouTube, go to YouTube and look at it. Listen to it. Take time out and listen to it prayerfully. Okay, where I talk about digital spiritualism. The World Wide Web is it digital spiritualism. The flame of fire was Sister White, the dream that Sister White had. A train of cars moving at lightning speed. Digital spiritualism for the last days. Sister White, a quotation here from the writings. The Jews, after their long captivity, that's after spending hundreds of years in captivity, would not make any image. And I tell you, after you have been disgraced and humiliated in captivity for so long, and you come out of it, you do not want to go back. The image of the Roman ensign or banner, they call an abomination. So remember, they were under Roman bondage. They call this an abomination, especially when these emblems were placed in prominent places for them to respect. And today we go to church, it's right before us. It's on the podium. It's on the tithe bag. It's on the shirt. It's on the church mat. It's everywhere. Such respect, they regard it as a violation of the second commandment, because that is idol worship. We saw the pagan origin from the book The Two Babylons. It is to the god Adad. When the Roman ensign was placed in the holy place in the temple, they looked upon it as an abomination. And today we see it as something that is so good. We accept it, and it's part of our worship, it's part of our doctrine, it's part of our teaching. But she said when the Roman ensign was set up in the holy place in the temple, they looked upon it as an abomination. So therefore they had no business with it. This new logo that we have adopted has nothing to do with Seventh-day Adventism. Adult Sabbath School Quarterly. You know it. You're familiar. It's right in every quarterly that have been published since that time. From then on. Every quarterly. It's before your eyes. If you want to keep something away from people, put it close to their eyes. They don't see it. They're hypnotized. They don't see it. If you put it just for a few places, it will excite some investigation. Ensign in a prominent place. That's General Conference session. General Conference session. Look at how many places it is. It's on the wall. It's on the podium. It's in the background. 3 places in one little area. General Conference Bulletin, General Conference session. So we have thousands of people in attendance. And we listen to the speaker. But as we listen to him, our eyes are upon this, fixed upon this. It's on the wall, it's on the podium, it's on the background, the back wall. When I grew up in the Seventh Adventist Church, our logo was not trash, it was not junk mail. It was just unofficial documents, but it carried deep meaning. But today it is everywhere. Everywhere. But the Jews regarded it as an abomination before God. They knew very well that this sign was a sign from Rome and what it symbolized, what it meant to them. Vatican flag being flown at General Conference in 205, World Session. Vatican flag, a standard, being flown at the General Conference in 205 World Session. The Bible speaks about the little horn in Daniel that will cast the truth to the ground and to make desolate. An abomination that will cause desolation, taking away from something and putting something in its place. I remember in 205, I attended a church because at that time General Conference session was being telecast. So I went there with a number of family members and friends, and we were watching that General Conference session on TV at the church. When I saw this, I was surprised and speechless. After the session, as I tried to discuss it with those who were with me, nobody saw it. Nobody saw it. Here we have the Parade of Nations. That was the closing scene of the session. Parade of Nations. So we have all churches all over the world, and they send their representatives, and to the last day we have the Parade of Nations. They come with the flag from Zambia, from Australia, from Canada, from the US, from the Caribbean, wherever, you come with your flag. Among these flags, we had the Vatican flag. So I called up the General Conference. I made a call to the General Conference and asked them, do you have a church, a Seventh Adventist church in Vatican City? They said no. If you don't have a church in Vatican City, why then do we have the Vatican flag being flown and waved high in this Parade of the Nations to close the General Conference session? I wonder if it is possible that we are worshiping the beast, we are worshiping the devil in symbolism, in symbol form, thinking that we are doing God's service. Abomination. I'm reading from Jeremiah 7 verse 30. Jeremiah says, they have set up the abominations in the house which is called by my name to pollute it. Wow. That's exactly what we witnessed today. They have set up the abominations in the house which is called by my name to pollute it. Let them make me a sanctuary, I may dwell among them. We call it church. We don't use the word sanctuary today, we call it church. And we say this is the house of God. But they have set up the abominations in the house. What right does Catholic flag, Vatican flag, have to be posted among our flags in a General Conference session, which is the gathering of the world church? Psalm 74 verse 3. Lift up thy feet unto the perpetual desolations, even all that the enemy have done wickedly in the sanctuary. So it was already prophesied that the enemy will do a work in the sanctuary. Lift up thy feet unto the perpetual desolations, even all that the enemy have done wickedly in the sanctuary. Thy way of God is in the sanctuary. Who is so great a God as our God? Send help from the sanctuary. Strength and beauty is in the sanctuary. Victory and overcoming power is in the sanctuary, but she will cast the sanctuary truth to the ground. That is exactly what Moses did. When he saw apostasy, when he saw abomination taking place, he cast the truth to the ground. He broke the Ten Commandments because the Israelites at that time had broken the relationship with God. And she's casting the truth to the ground. And we've caught up now in that celebration, in that mix, the very same abomination. Set up an ensigns among us, and we all worshiping together and singing the same songs together. How Christ dealt with abominations. A very strong statement from Sister White. E.G. White, Battle Creek Letters, page 111, August 3rd, 1904. Listen to this statement. How Christ dealt with abominations. Here's what she said. At times, with burning earnestness and words of terrible severity, Christ denounced the abominations that he saw in the church and in the world. Wow. With burning earnestness and words of terrible severity, Christ denounced the abominations that he saw in the church and in the world. He would not allow the people to be deceived by false claims to righteousness and sanctity. The one that Ezekiel 9 talks about God's faithful crying and sighing for the abominations that are done among God's people. Christ would not allow his people to be deceived by these false claims to righteousness and sanctity. This is idol worship, which is set up among God's people, an ensign planted by the enemy himself. And we can trace his footsteps where he came from. From Rome, from Babylon. That's where it came from. Idol worship. And in that process of idol worship, we will be eating and we'll be drinking. I want to suggest to you that when the Sunday law is passed and we keep eating and drinking under that banner, we receive the mark of the beast. When the Sunday law is passed and we keep eating and drinking communion, Eucharist, Lord's Supper under that banner, we have sealed our doom. We receive the mark of the beast. Matthew 24:15-18.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let him which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes.
Wow. Remember Sister White said previously in a statement that I read, that when the children of Israel saw this, they were to take their flight. They were to see it as a sign to take flight. That means to run. And now Christ is saying, in his own words, he's saying, when you see that abomination, if you're on the housetop, don't come down. If you're in the country, don't come back. If you're in the city, get out. And now we see it being planted among God's people. It's everywhere. It's on your tie pin. It's on your shirt. It's on your bag. It's on your tie bag. It's on the podium. It's on the church mat. It's everywhere. Junk mail. Revelation 16:1-2.
And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, Go your way and pour out the vial of the wrath of God upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image.
That's the first plague when it falls. It falls upon those who are worshipping, believers, church-going people. They are worshipping the image to the beast. When the first plague falls, it falls upon those upon whom probation have already closed, and they have found themselves worshipping the image to the beast. They are drinking and they are eating with the children of Moab, the daughters of Moab. They become a cage of unclean and hateful birds. 1 Peter 4:17.
For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of God. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of God?
Judgment begins in the house of God. Ezekiel 9:3-7, we are talking about how Christ dealt with the abomination. And Sister White said, at times with burning earnestness and words of terrible severity, Christ denounced the abominations that he saw in the church and in the world. He would not allow the people to be deceived by false claims to righteousness and sanity. That's what we have right now. Trying to fool us and make us believe that this is righteousness, this is truth, this is sanity. The Bible says no. This is idol worship that will lead to the mark of the beast and image worship.
And the glory of the God of Israel was gone up from the cherub, whereupon he was, to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And the Lord said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry, for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said, in mine hearing, Go ye after him, through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both male and female, and little children and women. But come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. And he said unto them, Defile the house, and fill the courts with the slain. Go ye forth. And they went forth and slew in the city.
That's the great slaughter that will take place, and I believe that's going to be real. I believe that's going to be practical. Great slaughter. When it begins in the house of God. When judgment begins, it begins in the house of God. When the first plague falls, it falls among people who are worshiping the beast and his image. And we saw exactly what took place with the golden calf. We saw exactly what Moses did. We saw exactly what went on. I'm reading from Testimonies to the Church, Volume 5, page 211. Here we see that the church, the Lord's sanctuary, was the first to feel the stroke of the wrath of God. The ancient men, those to whom God had given great light and who had stood as guardians of the spiritual interests of the people, had betrayed their trust. They had taken the position that we need not look for miracles and the marked manifestation of God's power as in former days. Times have changed. These words strengthen their unbelief. And they say, the Lord will not do good, neither will he do evil. He is too merciful to visit the church, the people in judgment. Thus, peace and safety is a cry from men who will never again lift up their voice like a trumpet to show God's people their transgressions and the house of Jacob their sins. These dumb dogs that would not back are the ones who feel the just vengeance of an offended God. Men, maidens, and little children all perish together. Men, maidens, little children all perish together. Because they say it's an age of peace. I tell you, that peace is going to come. Because we're going to be celebrating the Eucharist just now. Because we've achieved the level of peace that we want in this world. We'd have been able to make peace with Russia. We'd have been able to make peace with China. We'll be able to make peace with North Korea. We'll take care of the coronavirus epidemic. We'll take care of the financial collapse in the world. And we can celebrate the Eucharist together. We can celebrate attending to climate change. And therefore there'll be a reign of peace on earth. The Bible says, in the age or time of peace, when they think of peace, it'll be sudden destruction. Choose ye this day under which banner, as I come to a close. The question is, choose ye this day under which banner? Is it the banner of New Age spiritualism? Occultic symbolism? Leading to the worship of the beast and his image and receiving his mark and his number? And probation closes upon us? This is what this image is all about, this logo is all about. A cross upside down. The Bible, a book. And the three wavy lines. The lines representing the flames, which is spiritualism. And I explained it as digital electronic spiritualism. And the cross and the book. And the sphere, you don't see it there because it's faded in the background. And all the other churches have it. All the major organizations have it. The schools have it too. And you see it on the products. Choose ye this day under which banner you'll find yourself in these last days. New Age spiritualism, occultic symbolism that will lead to the worship of the beast and his image and receiving his mark and his number. And if you doubt what I'm saying, study carefully the role that the churches played recently in union with the government as far as closing of the churches are concerned, as far as staying home is concerned. Choose ye this day under which banner? The three angels' messages, which teaches the commandments of God, the seal of the living God, and eternal Sabbath rest, getting victory over the beast and his image and his mark and his number. We are at the crossroads right now, and we have to choose under which banner we are going to find ourselves. Is it that posted banner, or is it the banner with the three angels' messages, which teaches the commandments of God, the seal of the living God, eternal Sabbath rest, and to gain victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark and over his number? Then we'll walk on sea that looks like glass. Choose ye this day. 40 Testimonies, volume 4, page 200. She says, those who are walking in the light should be able to discern the difference between the black banner of the adversary and the blood-stained standard of Christ. So if we have spiritual discernment, will draw a line of demarcation between the two banners. The black banner of rebellion and apostasy and abomination, or that red-stained banner of Christ. Now, black hair does not mean color. It means message. 1 Kings 18:11. How long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him. If Baal, then follow him. Why are Seventh Adventists caught now in the crossroads? Crossfire. If God be God, serve him. If Baal, then serve him. Declare. Revelation 13:3 verse 15. I would that thou art cold or hot. Because God is looking down from highest heaven. He can do nothing with us because we are not declared. He sees us as neither being hot or cold. Neutral. Lukewarm. Therefore, he can do nothing with us. And because we are not declared, therefore he passes judgment. I'm reading from Messages to Young People, page 24. E.G. White. You must be men who will despise all falsity and wickedness, who will dare to be true and brave, holding aloft the blood-stained banner of Prince Emmanuel. She's speaking to young people, Messages to young people. You have to be men who will despise all falsity and wickedness, what has been introduced among us. That pollution, that abomination been planted among God's people, who will dare to be true and brave, holding aloft the blood-stained banner of Prince Emmanuel. There are only two parties upon the earth. I'm reading from 7 BC. Okay, I'm reading from Bible commentary. I'm reading from the 7th. There are only two parties upon the earth. Those who stand under the blood-stained banner of Jesus Christ and those who stand under the black banner of rebellion. So we have all decided, or will all decide, where we'll stand under which banner. The blood-stained banner of Christ, which will lead to the seal of God, or the dark banner of rebellion and apostasy and abomination, which will lead to receiving the mark of the beast. I want to suggest to you that the mark of the beast has a lot to do with the Sunday law, which is a law to enforce the thing. And the thing has a lot to do with eating and drinking, as we saw in the book of Numbers with Moses and Joshua and the children of Israel. The eating and the drinking. And it is in the midst of that celebration that they committed the worst abomination. So it's an abomination that will cause desolation. When probation closes, so I better retract. When the Sunday law is passed, if we find ourselves still eating and drinking and participating in the Lord's communion, the Lord's supper, and the Holy Communion, the Eucharist, under this banner, we are sealed our doom. God gave a banner. I'm reading from Psalm 60 verse 4. Very solemn. Psalm 60 verse 4. The psalmist says, Thou hast given a banner to them that fear thee. So God gave us a banner. But it's to them who fear him, who reverence his holy name, that it may be displayed because of the truth. So our banner must be vividly displayed, conspicuously displayed because of the truth. The truth it holds, the truth it portrays, the truth it carries, the truth it proclaims. Our banner, the three angels' messages, fly in the midst of heaven, three angels' message, fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel, the age-long gospel. Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, present. So our banner must be displayed, because it's given to us by God himself. Thou hast given a banner to them that fear thee, that it might be displayed because of the truth. Does truth have two sides? Do we need two banners? The other side of truth is a lie. It is false. It cannot be true and false at the same time. You cannot be hot and cold at the same time. Found wanting, or the old landmarks, rejecting whatever is of Babylon. Gaining victory and overcoming power in the sanctuary. I pray God that today we'll take a decision and decide for ourselves under which banner we'll find ourselves. Under the blood-stained banner of Prince Emmanuel, or under the dark banner of rebellion, apostasy, and abomination. It's an abomination that will lead to total desolation. Thank you.